Shalom Aleichem Chevra, Freilich and Chanukah. It's a schus to be doing another video for the Lost Princess Initiative. And I want to begin by offering my own personal Akarsa Tov. I'm sure many share the same feeling to Rabbi Yaakov for everything that he's done to get this initiative off the ground, the website that he just launched, the tremendous amount of shiurim that he gives, and the hours, weeks, months, and years that he's put into ensuring that every Yid hears the message of how much the Rebbe loves them and how important it is to come close to Hashem. That the well springs of his Torah should spread to every corner of the world. Rabbi Yaakov asked me tonight to speak about a line in the Meor Einayim and parsha Shemais, and I think contained in this one sentence of the Meor Einayim is two of the most fundamental teachings of the Heilige Baal Shem Tov's Chassidus Daily. And I'll read the sentence inside and I'll try to expound on both of these lessons in the short amount of time that we have. Meor Einayim writes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Malamed Oisam Tamid. The Menachem is teaching them, Klal Yisrael, constantly, Eich la'avdai, how to serve him, U'lakarves atzme elav, how to become close to him. Meaning what? We normally think of the Rabban Shalom as Avinu or Malkeinu. Hashem is either our father, he's our king, but we don't normally think of the Rabban Shalom as being something else. The Meor Einayim teaches us and explains to us based on his Rebbe, the Heilige Baal Shem Tov, Zchus Yagan Aleinu, that the Rabban Shalom is also our Rebbe. The Rebbe is not just Avinu or Malkeinu, but every single Yid in Klal Yisrael is the greatest Rebbe in the world, the Rabban Shalom b'chvay deva'atzmai. Now, how does the Rabban Shalom teach us? How is the Rabban Shalom Malamed Oisam Tamid? So in order to understand what the Meor Einayim is saying, we need to focus on a teaching from the Heilige Baal Shem Tov, his Rebbe. The Baal Shem Tov says that the Gemara teaches us that every single day there's a baskol which comes out of our chayrev, out of our Sinai, which says, Shuvu Banam Shevim, begging Klal Yisrael to come back to Avinu Shabashamayim. The Baal Shem Tov has a very simple question on the Gemara. Why would Hashem create a baskol that no one's ever heard? If the point of the baskol is to get us to do tshuva, so then why doesn't the Rebbe Hashem give us the ability to be able to hear the baskol? And the Baal Shem Tov answers that although we can't hear the baskol with our ears, every single one of us hears the baskol with our heart, with our neshama. The deep inside of us, every time we have a sefer to do tshuva, every time we decide that we want to become bigger and better and closer to Hashem, every time we hear something on the outside that inspires us to become better people, those are all messages from the Rabban Shalom that the Rabban Shalom is sending to us in order to get us to come closer to Him. Like the Meor Einayim is telling us, he's teaching us Eich la'avdai u'lakarav oisei tamin, how to get closer and to serve the Rabban Shalom in the proper way. And the Rabban Shalom is sending us messages throughout the day, trying to get us to become closer, to serve Him better, and to do a proper tshuva. Our avodah is only haskes u'shma Yisrael, to open up our ears, open up our eyes, and see and hear the messages of inspiration that Hashem's sending us constantly. Whether the messages from the outside, from the conversations we overhear, maybe somebody sends us a WhatsApp message, a video that we see, it's a shir that we hear, a piece of Torah that we learn, or whether it's messages coming from inside. My neshama is screaming inside, I want to get close to Hashem. I want to become a better person. I want to fix up the things that I've done wrong. And I want to become the person that I really want to be. Whether the message is internal or external, we need to understand and open up our ears to hear those messages of Hashem. But then the Meor Einayim teaches us a second lesson, which is just as important, if not more important. And that's the following lesson. Many of us will say, okay, this avodah of the Rebbe Hashem teaching every Yid in Klal Yisrael sounds very good and it sounds beautiful, but it doesn't sound like it talks to me. It sounds like the Rebbe Hashem's teaching the big tzaddikim, the ones that are able to see seichel shebachol davar, ones that are able to see how in everything that happens to them, Hashem's talking to them. But me, a simple Yid who feels far away from Hashem, how does Hashem talk to me? Zok the Meor Einayim. Ukishi Yisrael einam breim b'maseyim. And when Klal Yisrael is not healthy in their actions, oz kaviyachol metzamtzim es atzmai. The Rebbe Hashem is metzamtzim himself kaviyachol, al yidei tzimtzumim ad redasei erech hasheflasam, until the Rebbe Hashem constricts himself, until he comes down to the level that Yid is on, kifi erech binasam. The Rebbe Hashem is the ultimate teacher. And the ultimate teacher doesn't just teach the top 10% or even the top 80% of the class. A good teacher knows how to talk in a way that every student gets exactly what they need to hear. The Rebbe Hashem, who's the ultimate Rebbe, doesn't just speak to a Yid who's close to him, a Yid who's all the way in the top 10% to the top 95%. The Rebbe Hashem gives a lesson to every single Yid that's negeh to that person on the level that they're on. Reb Nassan writes in Likutei Halachos that there's two ways that a person can see the king. One way is a person makes an appointment by the palace. A person prepares, gets their clothing ready, showers, takes a haircut, makes a list of everything they need to ask the king. Their mind is 100% clear, everything's perfect, and they come to visit the king in the best state that they can be. And that's one way a person can visit the king. Rebbe Nassim writes that there's a second way to visit, the second way to see the king. And that's when somebody who's close with the king, Uchalila, gets very sick and is stuck there in the hospital, who's unable to go visit the king, but because of his closeness with the king comes to visit them. And when the king comes to visit them, they may not have showered in 2-3 weeks. They definitely haven't taken a haircut in a while. Their mind is a little bit confused because of all the morphine that they've taken. They're not in the greatest state that they could be. They're wearing a hospital gown. Nevertheless, the king comes to visit them because they're sick, lying in a hospital bed, and they don't have the ability to come to the palace. Zaktim Nasan Lakutei Halachas is two types of Yom Tovim that Klal Yisrael has. One Yantif is the Shalosh Regalim, where we come to the Rabban Shalom V'lo Yiru Es Panei Reikam. We come up to Hashem to be Oila Regel. We visit the palace of Hashem, and we visit the palace of Hashem in the best state that we can be. We have to be matara ourselves before the Regel. Come with Karbanis, come in the perfect state. But Reb Nassim says there's another type of Yantif, a Golas type of Yantif, Yom Tovim of Chanukah and Purim, where the Rabban Shalom is Mevakar Chayla. Hashem comes to visit us exactly where we are. Hashem says, don't worry, Klal Yisrael. I know that you're not Einam Brain b'Masem. I know you're not perfect. You're not 100% healthy. But that's why I'm coming to visit you. Because I want to tell you where you are, Eichla Avdai. How you can serve me, Ulakarves Atzma Elav, how you can come close to me from the place that you are. Because the Rabban Hashem is the ultimate Rebbe, Hashem gives over a message to every Yid at the place that they are, which is tailor-made for that Yid. And we just need a Haskes Ushma Yisrael to open up our ears to believe that the Rabban Hashem is talking to us where we are. 1 year before Reb David of Talna lit the menorah, all the Chassidim were gathered around, and he was waiting, holding the candle. Everyone's waiting for him to light, and finally Reb David of Talna calls over one of the Chassidim, who happened to have been a very tall Chassid, 6'3", 6'4", and the Talna Rebbe says, Yankala. He says, how tall is your wife? So he says, Rebbe, I'll tell you the truth, my wife is very short. She's about 5'3". So he says, Yankala, when you want to tell your wife a secret, does she stand on a chair to hear the secret, or do you bend down to her and whisper the secret into her ear? So he says, Rebbe, I bend down and I tell the secret to her, I whisper it into her ear. The Rebbe said, okay, thank you. And the Rebbe went to light the menorah. Afterwards, one of the Chassidim explained to the other Chassidim what the Rebbe meant with this story and why this story was so important before he lit the menorah. He explained that the Rebbe was teaching the Chassidim the secret of Chanukah. There's certain Yom Tovim where we, Kaviyachal, stand on a chair to get close to Hashem. But Chanukah is where the Rabban Shalom, who's so tall and we're so short, the Rabban Shalom bends down to every Yid to give them over the secret of how much he loves them, to teach them where they are, Eichla Avdai, Ulakarves Atzmei Elav, how we can come close to him. Hashem should give every one of us the bracha to be able to open up our ears to hear the lessons and to believe that the Rabban Shalom, the ultimate Rebbe, is talking to every one of us in our place, in the exact place we are with our matzav. The Hashem knows who we are. The Hashem is coming to be mavakar chayla asan Chanukah. Hashem should give us this chus to hear the messages of Hashem and to utilize this message to become closer and closer to Him. Chanukah.